Okay, just give me 1 minute. Hello, everyone.
Oh,
Thank you for
hi Ruth.
joining.
I think I want to do the introduction about you. Yeah, that's true. A lot of our learners don't know you. I mean, a few of them do, because your work is well known, like all over, all over the places, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, you're on our faces. So I don't know. See, guys, there's a whole lot to say about Ruth. Yeah. So, but I'm just going to keep this very simple and short. Yeah. So, first, Ruth is a GitHub star. Right. See, if you're a programmer, a developer, you know what GitHub is, yeah, and you should know what it is to be a GitHub star. Like, it's not being an akara. All right. So, and Ruth is a technical writer. She's also an open source program manager, and currently she works as a community lead at Chaos Africa, a community that focuses on improving the health of open source software contributions and communities across the continent. And again, I think I've said it before, I'm also a community member at Chaos. So, Ruth, you have the floor.
All right, sorry, I was muted. Okay. Thank you for the introduction, your blessing, and so lovely to meet everyone. And I'm going to be speaking to, I think, about how many people are here? About 43 people. That's really big, and it's really nice that I get to. Thank you for inviting me to.
Hello, Ruth. Can we see your face?
Oh, my face. Maybe towards the end of the session. I'm not prepared for my face right now. But towards the end of the session, maybe you'd see my face, but just focus on the session for now.
Okay, that's fine, really.
Yeah, so yeah, so I'm really excited that I get to speak to a lot of people, like the audience, student, about open source. I'm really, really excited, and it's going to be a very interactive session because I have like a demo I also want to do. Maybe Blessing, can you confirm how many minutes I have so that I don't go over time too?
Really, so usually it's about an hour to 2 hours. So, but really just do your thing.
Okay, no problem. So it's going to be like an interactive session, it's going to be a demo, and I'm going to show you, or anyone can volunteer to be our guide. I'll either show you or for my end, or someone can also volunteer to do it as well. So I'm going to be doing a demo towards the end of the talk to show you how, like, what it looks like to contribute to open source, right? So yeah, so let's get started. Let me share my screen first. So okay, can you all see my screen?
Yep, we can.
Can you confirm what you can see?
Getting started with open source.
Thank you. So I was going to be sure so I don't share the wrong thing. So yeah, let's get started on today's session. So today I'll be sharing with you talking about getting started with open source. And yep. Okay, there's the problem. Okay, about me, Mary Blessing has done a very great job with talking about who I am. But just to refresh for people that were not here when she did that introduction, my name is Ruth. I'm a community manager. I'm also a technical writer and an open source advocate, and I'm a GitHub star as well. I know some people might have questions about what the GitHub is. A GitHub star is someone GitHub has recognized that is inspiring other developer communities, educating and picking others along, which is what I'm doing here. So, and then the nomination process is open. Anybody can go there and nominate someone to be a GitHub star. So if you want to know about that, maybe you can ask me a question later on, but that's who I am. So let's go into what's the session for today. So I'm sure, I don't know how many persons, so I'm looking at the chat as well. So how many persons have heard about open source? I don't know what stage that the audience is in, like the stage of learning you are currently in. So how many people have heard about have heard about open source and maybe know what open source is? Okay. Mary Blessing, you're not part of this question. Okay, I see. Okay. Just two persons. I see Oladeji and Ayo has answered. They've heard about. So only two persons here have heard. Okay, three. Okay, yeah. So a lot of times when people talk about open source, I see a lot of people have heard about open source. Great, great. Thank you for indicating. So when people talk about like when somebody refers to this software is open source or this project is open source, people do not know what it's about or what does it really entail, what does it really mean. So I'm going to be explaining it quite deeply. I'm going to go down to the depth of it to help you and even use like examples to kind of like help you understand, so that when someone says this is an open source project, at least everybody in this meeting today would be able to, answer that question confidently. So when you refer to a project or a software as open source, it means that that's project or that community or that software is the code base is freely available. The way they created it, the pattern, it's open. It's not just sometimes some projects are not free. Some open source projects are not free. There are some paid open source tools, but it's the core definition of it is that the way they made it, the software pattern, the code base, or the community model, in the case of it being a community, it's openly available. You can see it. Anybody can see how it was made. There's no hidden parts of it. Everything is in the open, right? And then you cannot not just that, but you're able to alter, change. You're able to make changes, make edits to or enhancements, add features. You can make a different copy of the project as your own, right? So now let's look at let me use an example to kind of like drive the point home. So how many of us know the Windows operating system and the Linux? Have you heard about the Linux operating system? What's it about Linux operating system? Everybody should know Windows. What's it about Linux operating system? Okay, I'm seeing yes. That's really good. So yeah, so let's use these two examples, right? These two, yeah. Someone says Oladeji uses Ubuntu. Great, nice. So we are going to use these two examples. Windows, we have Windows. So imagine a Windows operating system right now and a Linux operating system. So if you do not know what Ubuntu is like a distro for Linux. Later you can go and ask Oladeji about how he uses Ubuntu, but Ubuntu is a distribution of Linux. Someone is saying, Farouk is saying they can't see my screen. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, I can't see your
Want
screen.
to go off and come back or pin my presentation to the screen. Okay, that's great. Thank you. So yeah, we have those two examples, right? I've brought out those two examples for you, Linux and the Windows operating system. Now, one of these operating system is a proprietary software, and the other one is an open source software. So when I mean proprietary, it's like, licensed, it's it's just the opposite of open source. That's the code base or how it was made is not openly available. And even down to the point that Windows is not even free. The way Nigerians just have like crack versions of it. Windows software is not free originally. But yeah, so we have those two operating systems, right? And Linux is an open source software. You can see how Linux was even created how the whole thing started. You can see the code base, the kernel, everything you can see, and you can also make now highlight that word, alterations or even enhancements. Now remember I said Ubuntu is a distribution of Linux, right? Oladeji uses Ubuntu. So now there were people when Linux, when Linus Torvald, that's the creator of Linux, created Linux or made Linux, there were people that wanted it in a different way. So they made distributions, like they made different other, like there are a lot of them. There's I think, what are these other ones? Fedora, there are like a lot of distributions of Linux, right? So now that's an open source, that's a typical open source. But with Windows, you cannot see how Windows was created. It's not an open source project. It's licensed. You cannot use it. You cannot go and, because you get a lawsuit if you try that. And this is not to say that there are no licenses in open source. Maybe in a later, maybe later I can, if anybody wants to know about licensing open source, you can reach out to me later about that. But this is the clear definition. So the keywords you should note for an open source software is that the code base or the pattern or the community model, whatever it is, it's freely available for you to see, and you can make edits, make it as your own. You can make enhancements to that project. So that's what defines an open source project, right? So take note of these things so that if anybody should ask you what an open source software is, you are able to kind of like explain what it is. So that's the first thing. Now, there are these major beliefs that people have when they hear open source, right? And I'm sure a lot of us can relate to some of these things that I have listed out here. Now, some people do believe that open, because then when you hear software, people always think it's code, or because it's about software, you just feel if you cannot code, you cannot contribute to it, right? So open source is not just about contributing to open source, is not just about code. Beginners are also welcome to contribute to open source. I started contributing to open source when I just started tech, so I can boldly tell you that everybody is welcome to contribute to open source. Your level of skill set, anything you like, you can naturally contribute. For me, I believe that anybody can contribute to open source, even when you're not even in tech. I do believe that, and I've had people that have come from non-tech backgrounds. I've seen people that have come from non-tech backgrounds that contribute to open source. So another thing is, contributing to open source is not a waste of time. Yes, most of the time people would, and especially with this part of the world, we just believe that if you're contributing something free, or wasting your time you can spend on doing something that would give you money and all that stuff. But it's not a waste of time, because then they're like internships, open source internships that you can get really good money from. There are a lot of those internships. There's Outreachy that pays you up to like $6,000 for 3 months for contributing to an open source project. For participating in an internship. There's Google Summer of Code that also pays 3,000, I think around 3,000. Google Season of Dogs, the money it depends on the organization you're contributing to, depends on how they pay. So there are all these projects that you can also make money from. There are bounty projects as well. So it's not, and aside the money, take away the money too, you're also giving value back. You're kind of like giving value back to the community. You are helping people. You're also making network. You're also networking with people, not just in your local community, because then open source is projects are global. So you're also making network with a lot of other people that are not within your local circle or your local community, right? Designers can also contribute to open source. Before I even go back to that, and that thing I want to point out, contribute as on the point of contribute to open source, not a waste of time, is that you can also contribute to things that help people. They are open source projects. I think a piece of open source code was also what powered SpaceX, or the NASA project, right? A piece of open source code was also part of what powered it. So you can also be part of something that is global. And every software, like generally a lot of things, even the softwares we use, Android, all of them are built on open source technology. Almost every software is connected somehow to the Linux kernel. Like, you can't take that away. So there are like so many things that we use that depend on open source, right? So giving your time to contribute to open source projects or open source communities is not a waste of time at all. Then also designers can also contribute to open source projects. So it's not, like I said with the first point, it's not kind of like a waste of time. There are designers, I know there's even like a designers group, Open Source Design Africa, a chapter, of designers that contribute to open source. There are a lot of all those people. I think I see open designers as well. There's one other group too that contributes to open source. There are a lot of all these organizations coming up. So designers can also contribute, not just code. So I want you to throw away all those beliefs that you've had in the trash. Like, I think even with talking about these beliefs, I've even talked about some of the things that, how important open source is to your career, right? Like, I've also talked about, but I'm going to refresh back on those points, just to like reiterate. Number one is that it improves your technical skills. I know, like, it's a community and different people here that are listening to me are different. They are like on different parts in their career. So you especially like for beginners, you'd be able to learn, because when you're contributing to open source, you will work with a lot of people that are more experienced than you are. You work with people that are in a very stable phase of their career that can help you, or you even work with peer along with like beginners like you learn together. So it helps you, improve on your technical skills. And when I say technical here, I'm not just referring to code, even with design, right? You get to learn about new tools and new technologies. I know when I started contributing to open source, before then I did not know about, I only knew about Zoom as a platform, like as a video conferencing platform. We contribute, and I got to know about other ones like Big Blue Button. There are like a lot of all those tools. You get to know about a lot of tools that you would not naturally know about within your local circle. You get to know about global tools and how to use them, because while you're contributing to this project, somehow you get to use them. So you get to learn about these tools. So you're adding more skills to your resume or something. So you get to turn your idea into like reality. Like that's another thing that really sparks me a lot about like open source contributions, because you can just have like a random idea and basically maybe you cannot like carry it on your own. You cannot really do it on your own, or you need collaboration of some extent. But with the spirit of open source, you can collaborate with people and share your ideas with like people that are even more experienced than you, that can help you, guide you into creating that project. You can create this project as a standalone on your own, or even within a community. So you get to turn your ideas into something real, into a real project. And I've had times where I've had ideas that I could not do on my own, but with a group of people in the open source community, I could like voice it out, and then experienced people are there to back you up, to help you nurture that idea. So another thing is gaining soft skills. I did not know how to talk to so many people like this. Right? Like I'm naturally a very reserved person. I would not see myself talking to people, like especially like in a group or in like saying a lot of things. But with contributing to open source, I found that part of me. Like I was able to gain those soft skills. I was able to talk to people, start talking to in smaller groups, and started talking in conferences. It grew from there. And today I also keynote at conferences too. So it's like it helps you gain, like for me, I gained like that soft skill of speaking, also writing, like handling documentation, doing a lot of people management. With I told you earlier that I also manage a community, so I could gain those skills of managing people, managing programs, also like events, all those kind of things. So you gain a lot of all those soft skills, even patience, because when you're contributing to open source, trust me, it's one good ride, because then you have to be patient, with code reviews, or with people accepting your request, or even with self-confidence, all those kind of things. So it helped me gain a lot of soft skills. Remote work experience is another thing. I also talked about earlier, about like how you get to work with like people that are not just in your local community. You get to work with people that are the other end of the world, so you gain that remote work experience, networking, and also collaboration, which I've like highlighted before. Same thing, you get to network, and then this network at the end of the day brings you, there are so many times where I've gotten like gigs from people that I have networked before with, and worked on a project with or collaborated with. I talked about paid opportunities, internships, and all that stuff. So these are like some of there are a lot of them, but these, I just highlighted these 6 ones like to make you interested, because it is interesting. So how do you like get started? What can you do to start contributing to open source? The first thing is to find projects that you want to contribute to. You ask yourself, okay, I am a designer, I am a developer. What are the projects that I can contribute to? And you start finding those projects. And I'm also going to recommend towards the end of my talk, or the session, towards the end of the session, I'm definitely going to recommend projects that you can contribute to. Joining communities, collaborating and learning and growing together. Also one thing, making meaningful contributions. So it's not about like spams. It's about making useful contributions. Most of the time when you join some communities or some projects, they already have some some issues that you can work on, or there are some outline things that they need help with. But sometimes when you join some projects, they do not have that. They do not have those things that you can work on. So you have to find ways to make meaningful contributions to those communities and stuff. So these are not secrets, they're open things, but then there are things that have helped me, contribute effectively to projects that I started with, and even projects that I'm currently involved with. It's about being vocal about your concerns when you join a community, because then I see a lot of times some people join communities and they just stay low. They don't do anything. They don't even make an effort. And you have to, be vocal about what you want to do in the community. Tell them how you want to contribute, or ask them about things that you can contribute. Most of these projects, they do have meetings that you might need to attend, community meetings, project related meetings. You can introduce yourself when you join those meetings and ask questions where you're stuck or where you need help. Being patient, like I said, because it's a process to contribute to an open source project. if you're even using GitHub, like there's the GitHub workflow that you have to follow through. Like sometimes, most of the time, every open source project will have like a contributing guideline that you have to follow through. So being patient, and then you know that it's a project where a lot of people are there. So sometimes coming to your pull request can take some time. So you have to, like, be patient, because the maintainer or the owner of the project has other people they are attending to. So being patient. I think the last thing I would love to like talk about is creating a niche for yourself when you're contributing. And this might not apply to everybody, but most of the time I do love that when I want to do something, I try to look into what is my interest here. What do I want to help out? What do I want to give back to people? How do I want to contribute effectively to this project? And for me, that was rather, or that is, this is hard. But yeah, it's like, for me, it is, talking to helping communities create a better onboarding process for beginners, for people coming into the project. And that's what has guided me over the years, being in that focus of helping people, beginners, come into projects, like effective, seamless onboarding, right? I've been doing that a lot with like communities I found myself in, and it leads both to documentation, meetings, how to, make let's say a safe space. No, I shouldn't use that word. But yeah, like how to make people feel welcome when they come into community. So that's a niche I carved out for myself. So it has defined every single thing I do within open source, like down to speaking, down to helping people out with starting their first contribution, doing everything. So I created that niche. So for you, it could be about accessibility, having making sure that open source projects or projects that you find yourself with are like their design process is accessible, or their documentation is seamless, whatever thing might be. Just define it within yourself. It helps you narrow down how you want to contribute to that project. So yeah, like I promised, I was going to before I do that demo, I'll just take questions now. Maybe if you have questions for me now, I'll take them now before we start the demo, just for a break so I can take water.
Also, hi guys, if you all have questions.
Okay. Does anyone have any question?
Yes, question time, guys.
That means I did a very good job with explaining.
Yeah, like pretty good job. Like, it was so chilling.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So I muted my laptop because I didn't want to get notifications and disturb the presentation. So I think someone was saying something. I think Mary Blessing was saying something.
Oh, no, I was just pretty much saying that you've done a great job, like breaking down these processes. So I was also telling them if they have questions, they could use the chat to ask. And I'm also going to share a Slido link where you can also put in your questions. Yeah, Tada is in the chat, guys. So use the Slido link to put in your questions, any questions you have for Ruth. I know some of us applied to Atrishi. I remember sharing that opportunity with us. So if you have any burning question regarding open source, I think it's your best shot to like ask Ruth now. So yeah, Ruth, you might want to like go on. So when any question comes up, I will just let you know.
All right, no worries. Okay. So just give me a minute. Let me go back to here. Can you guys still see my screen?
Yep.
All right. Okay, so yeah, I said I was going to be doing a quick demo. Now this is one of the, I have like a resources section. I'll share my slides when I'm done with the presentation, but I do have a resources slide where all of these things are in. But this is First Contributions. Is one of the places you can find open source projects. You can see here that they are like a lot of all these projects are open source. If you did not know, VS Code is an open source project. But yeah, so all these projects are open source. You can explore them, join their communities, a whole lot of this. They are all open source projects. So if you don't know, now you know, even NPM. So yeah, you can explore them. But yeah, back to my demo. So now this is not my first contribution. Let's imagine it's my first contribution. But yeah, so this they have a GitHub repository that helps you make like a first contribution to any to an open source project, like just to help you with the flow, right? Just to help you understand the flow. So let me get started. Okay, so this is the repository that we're going to be using for the demo. Everybody can see this, right? Don't have to increase the text. Okay. So yeah, so we are going to be what this repository is about, like I said, is just to kind of help you understand the workflow in open source, like the GitHub workflow, the GitHub contribution workflow. So the first thing, when you find an open source project, the first thing you should do, go to the README. There's a file called the README. If you're not familiar with GitHub, that's what I'm explaining. Can I increase the font size? Okay, sure, I can. Sorry, is it quite a wide monitor? Yeah. Is it better? Is it better now? Okay.
Oh, yeah, I think it's closer now. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, so the first thing you do, like I'm going to explain very well because there are some people that might not be familiar with GitHub, or if you're familiar. Okay. But yeah, so the first thing you do when most open source projects, they have all their code base on GitHub. Some that do not even require code contributions, also put their repositories on GitHub. I'm going to be sharing the community I manage, Chaos Africa, after the demo, and talk about that a little bit. But yeah, so the first thing you do when you see an open source project is you read the about. This is help beginners contribute to open source projects. That's what this repository is about, right? And then you go to the README. A README document, like it says README, so you have to read it. It helps you understand what that project is about. It gives you a lot of information about what the project is and how it also sometimes they put how you can contribute, or they link you back to a contributing guide to explain how you can contribute, right? So after this, I'll share this link. After this, you can experiment contributing on your own end rather. Maybe Blessing would check how many people did the contributions. That's like a task. But yeah, just follow through with what I'm saying, and you definitely understand how to do this on your own. So yeah, so you take the README and you read it. And if you see it here, it says this project aims to simplify the way beginners make their first contribution, right? So now the first thing is fork the repository. If you can remember, if you were here when I talked about making about the definition of open source, I said you can make the project your own, right? You have the ability to make it. So when you fork the repository, you're able to kind of like contribute to it. So here is where you click on like make the project your own. I think I have this thing as on my end. So then you clone it to your local system. But I'm just going to be contributing on the GitHub UI because I do not have the time to start opening VS Code. And then you create a branch, you switch to the branch, and then you add your name. So what's the only thing you're going to do here is adding your name to the contributors file. So that's what it is. This file we're going to be adding, you're going to be adding your name here. You see, like 41 minutes ago, somebody just added their name, and this person is in Nigeria. Interesting. So yeah, like somebody just added, this repository is the most popular repository in open source. Like everybody's name is here. Oh, you still can't see my screen. Should I stop share and share again? Let me stop share and share again.
You can actually see your screen.
I stopped share now. Let me share again.
Okay.
See, Farouk, can you see it now?
It's coming up. Okay,
See
up now.
who is working against you? Farouk, can you see it now? Okay, I think you might be able to pin, I don't know, you might be able to pin my chat or something, my screen to you, so it doesn't interrupt.
I think everyone else can see your screen, just Farouk. I don't know, maybe something from his end.
Okay, no worries. So with the flow I was going through, so when you take this readme, you're going to see the flow of how you can contribute. Like just follow the guidelines. Most of the time it works. So we are just adding our name to this to that file. So let's get started. Just hope I've not forked this repository before. I think I have. So number one is forking this repository. I think I have. So just give me a second. Let me do something. Let me just do something very quickly. So I said the assignment is contributing, like following the flow I'm going to use and contributing to it and adding your name to it. That's the assignment. So just give me 1 minute. I'll be right back. I'll share my screen back. I'm trying to do something off the screen. In the meantime, do we have questions that people have asked? Sure, I can send you the link to the repository very soon.
Yeah, sure. I think you mentioned adding to the slides. Then later I will just share with them. Was that way?
Oh yeah, it's also on the slide, but if people want to check it here, I can also do that.
Oh yeah. Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. So in the meantime, I think we just have one person asking questions and Slido. So the person said, "How can you see openings for open source?" It's just a question.
How can you what?
Like, how can you see? I think the person is trying to know, like how could one get notified for projects to contribute on open source?
Oh yeah, I think that there's one. I don't know how active that thing is anymore. There's actually a project like that notifies you, but I will check if it's still active though.
But I think another thing is I don't know. I really do not know honestly, but I know sometimes I just get to know about these things if I follow related topics on, let's say, LinkedIn or Twitter. Yeah. So
About open source, right? And then
yeah.
Oktoberfest is coming. I'm going to talk about October. Please just remind me in case I forget.
Okay. Awesome. Then also I know a few communities, they can just collaborate with some organizations and make some projects open source. Yeah. I know She Codes Africa does that and a few others. so yeah. Yeah, October. Yeah, I'll try to remind you. Yeah.
Okay. So I think I'm back. So let's get started again. So we are trying to I'm trying to add my name to this, which is the assignment I said everybody will do this. So this is the repository. And if you check the README, because I know this at the top of my head, but if you check the README to give you every step you need to, do that change. So the README actually, if if you're not code inclined, I would advise you follow through with what I'm going to do. But if you're code inclined, you can really use the README. But if you're not code inclined, please just follow through with what I'm saying, because if you use the README, you have to use you have to know how to use VS Code, or you have to do it through your local machine. But yeah, let's get started. So first thing, I'm going to fork the repository. Click here. So yeah, so you can see I'm making this as a copy of my own. So a fork is a copy of a repository. GitHub does a good job with explaining what things are to you. So is a copy of a repository. So forking a repository allows you to freely experiment with changes without affecting the original project. So in open source, if these things are not like this, everything will just be scattering. You can be using your Android phone and then you are seeing that things are breaking because somebody is playing with it, right? So and Android is an open source like software. That's why I use Android. Yeah, so you have to make a copy of it. So that's what I'm doing right now. Create fork, done that. So yeah, see, I've made a copy of this project as my own. Then the next thing I have to do is, you see, the last time I told you somebody did that thing 41 minutes ago, somebody has made another contribution 7 minutes ago. So this is like the most active open source like project for beginners to learn how to use the GitHub flow. iPhone actually has like some part of iPhone is built on open source, by the way. So just that they won't tell you. But yeah, some part of iOS relies on open source, definitely. So the next thing is I'm going to be changing this file, adding my name to this file. So I'm going to open the file. Like I said, if you do not use VS Code, just follow through with this method. I'll do. I think the call is recorded, so I'll always come back to it. So now I want to add my name to this long list, exhaustive long list of names. And there's a guideline that you should add it, I think, alphabetically, but people have been doing things their own way. But yeah, let's just do it. So I click on this button because I want to change it. If you're not familiar with GitHub, just you click on that pencil button. So I want to add my name. My name is already here, so I'm just going to add the SGAxRuth. So and everything is not even alphabetically, so how do I know where to add? Okay, so let me add it here in the middle. You don't add it at the start or the ending, add in the middle. So Ruth Ikeda. And then they said add GitHub and GitHub profile. So let me get my profile. I think this is my profile, right? So I'm getting my GitHub profile link and I'm adding it here. Paste. Oh shit, made a mistake. So yeah, so I've added it. I've added my name and my profile link. So I scroll back down. See, the names are so, oh my god, this is so much. So the names are so much, like a lot of people use this. So I'm updating. So my commit message is added with here, right? So I create, remember it says create a new branch. So I create a new branch and call it Ruth Ikeda, or maybe call it something else, or I'll call it add name. Now branching is just mainly creating copies again of this file. So I propose changes. So seems I have to create I'm doing it on main. So if you're doing it on the UI and not on your local, you have to merge it to your main branch. So just create a pull request. I'll merge it to this main branch. Create pull request. When did it? So I'm trying to, I have a signed feature, like I need to sign off on my commit. I enabled it on my GitHub. So that's why that check was failing. So I merge this pull request to my main copy, right? So I've added this now on, I've added the change on this main copy. Now I want to make a pull request. That's a change. Pull request is basically a change request, right? So I want to tell this repository that I have added my name, please add it to your repository. So I come here to code, you see that it says this branch is 2 commits ahead, right? So to contribute, I have to open a pull request. So if you click on contribute here, it pops up this, and then you click open pull requests. So you see that if you look at this here, it is showing that I want to make a pull request from my own copy of the project into the main copy of the project, right? So what you have to do, what is the title? Added the title of your PR. PR means pull request, by the way. Added Ruth Kega. I added my to the contributors list. Right. So this is the change I did. So I create the pull request. Now, the thing with this repository is that it automatically merges your pull requests because it's a practice repository. But in a normal open source project, somebody will have to come and review those changes that you made, right? So you see that they've told me, congratulations, I submitted it, and they've added my name to that contributor list. So if you go to that list now, if you search for it, you see it. So let's search for my name here. Before now, my name was not there. I think I would have done that search before, but I forgot. But if you search Control Command F, if you search for Ruth Kega, see, you see the name here. So it has been added. See, this other one was added. So I would love everyone to kind of like do this, to experiment with this and follow through the steps, and you can add your name to, it's just a practice repository to help you understand the GitHub workflow, how to contribute to an open source project. So I hope everybody enjoyed the demo. So let's go back to my slide. So yeah, so yes, some of the resources I have to share with you, and some of the community I can really recommend, because I'm the community lead for that project. So is Chaos Africa. So what we do the Chaos project is a project to help open source communities manage like health, like community health, not like health in terms of like body health, but like create metrics that will help communities define how an open source project is giving value to the contributors, or how contributors are being welcomed, all those kind of metrics that you want to measure. So that's what the Chaos Project is about. And we also have like a local chapter of the project here in Africa. And we are focused on finding challenges that Africans face when they contribute to open source and creating initiatives to solve those challenges. So I would really, if you want to participate more in open source, we have like designers, we even have researchers, people that are researchers that are contributing to the project. We have community managers contributing to the project as well. We have designers, developers. There are a lot of things that you can get involved with, even facilitating it as much as facilitating a meeting. So those kind of contributions are all there. And if you join the community, you can just reach out to me at any time, and regardless of your skill set, I'll help you on how you can get started with contributing. So First Timers Only is another place you can find open source projects too. First Contributions is just the one I showed right now. I'll share a link to the slide. There's Code Triage, there's Open Source Design. It's like a community of designers that are contributing to open source. There's Awesome List for like non-programmers. You get to see projects that you can contribute to as somebody that doesn't code. So I'd love to end my talk with telling you that open source is your way up, and I encourage you to start contributing today. My handle is SGAxRuth on Twitter. Really pretty active there. You can shoot me an email, ruthikega@gmail.com, and you can check out my blog. This blog is old, by the way, but you can check it out. And yes, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you all enjoyed the session.
Yay. Thank you so much, Ruth. Thank you so much. That was super dope. We still want to see your face. I don't think that's possible.
I am in the, okay, let me try. Just give me 1 minute to set up my camera.
Yeah, sure.
Huh? Can you check mama is coming?
Okay, here's my face.
Nice, guys. Can you all see her face? Please let's confirm we can see her face. Yay! So you see what I was saying? Yeah, also. Nice. So give me a minute, Ruth. Give me a minute.
The thing is disappearing. I can't see.
That's my face disappearing. My face cannot disappear.
Like, so that clap was for you. Job well done, Ruth. Thank you so much. Like,
I can't see her real face though.
I really enjoyed my time. Please, can you allow me to talk? Thank you. I really enjoyed my time listening to you, Ruth. That was pretty chilled and well explanatory. Thanks so much. And guys, what was that? I think. Oh, okay.
Okay, so do I have any questions?
Yeah, you have.
Okay, I'll take them now then.
have one question though, just someone who knows nothing about tech, like is really new to tech, and so he wants to know like how does he get to know like the best project to contribute to?
I think, like I said, you need to, when you join the project, you can find out things that are non-code related that you can contribute to. Most of the time, some, we are still trying to, advocate that projects should help non-contributors, like non-code contributors, seamlessly contribute. So there's still that gap. And yeah, some projects would show you how you can contribute, but some other projects would not have that. So yeah, you should just find, when you find the project, just try to ask around how you can contribute by not how you can do non-code contribution. And yeah, I have a space tomorrow. I think I'm going to share the link. Just give me a minute. Let me stop share.
Yeah, sure, please do. And also the October.
Yeah, Oktoberfest. Yeah, somebody said that. I think I have to share again though, but hold on a sec. So let me talk about Oktoberfest first. I'll have to stop sharing when I try to. So Oktoberfest is like a month-long contribution to open source. You get to submit 4 pull requests in the month of October, and you can get like swags, a shirt and sticker sent to you wherever you are in the world. So this is so it's basically contribute to open source projects, get 4 pull requests, and get merged, and then you can, oh sorry, I sent a different link. I didn't copy this properly. Okay, yeah, that's Oktoberfest. So you can, there are even a lot of guides there in the link to help you contribute to open source. So that's what Oktoberfest is. Prepare to hack in the month of October. Just, you have to get those 4 PRs in the month of October, so that way you can get like a shirt, and then stickers will be sent to you wherever you are in the world. So yeah, that's about Oktoberfest. Then I have a space coming up about I'm hosting a space on the GitHub community Twitter about contributing to non-code contributions in open source. So you can set your reminders. I'm going to share the link to that. You can all set your reminders and attend that space tomorrow. It's like 12. And I'm also going to share the link to anybody interested in joining. Okay, someone has shared the link. Then this is the link to the space. If you're also interested in joining Chaos Africa, I have a link that you can fill a form to be part.
Yes, please.
Yep, to be part of community. So I'll definitely love to see faces there. So yeah, I've dropped all those links, and let me share the link to my slide as well. So yeah, I'm dropping the link to my slide to the chart.
Guys, click on the second to the last link now to go sign up for Chaos, please. I want to see you all in the community.
So yeah, okay. Is there any other question?
So far, so good. No other question. I think you did amazingly. So yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you everybody for listening to me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, we are super excited. So thank you for honoring our invitation.